So I wanted to do a follow-up on the video that I did the other day about the lack of self-control equals lack of self-love. Because when we become aware of these things and perhaps we don't have the answers or how to fix them, but what it does when we set an intention is it allows it to unfold. And when we become aware of the cause or the truth of something existing within us, it allows it to come forward when we provide the space. So what happened was allowing myself to not be so out of control. Just one night and just setting the intention to feel brought up a lot. And the first image I received was Vipassana. And for those of you who aren't aware what Vipassana is, it's a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And I completed that in April. And depending on when you're watching this, it's now September, the middle of September. What I became aware of in Vipassana, which is a free retreat if anybody is looking at doing it, it's held all over the world, was how I had been as a mother. And it was extremely confronting and upsetting. And it ignited a whole heap of guilt and shame because I had been intoxicated for a lot of my son's life. And I worked 5 to 6 days a week. So did my husband. And the rest of the time was pretty much spent drowning the reality of the life that we lived and how we really felt inside. And what happens with that is sometimes our children are there along for the ride. And experiencing the reality of exactly how I have been as a person hurts a lot. And there was no abuse in any way, but there was not a lot of presence. And, just having him see us like that just hurt a lot. And not being there for him in the way that I suppose I believe that a mother should be. All my life, I never wanted to be a mother. In fact, it was probably the biggest fear that I ever had. And when I met my husband, he was so good with kids. He was so good with his nieces and nephews. And I felt like, how can I not give him this? And so I decided that we would have a child. I believe the beginning was just as difficult as the rest. And last night, the first vision I got shown when I allowed myself to feel was Vipassana. And what I experienced there was that guilt about who I have been to him. And it showed me that he is the most important person here. And that I haven't been living that way at all. And it hurt a lot. And the process that I go through when I access these parts within me, because the mind is very powerful from keeping us away. We're protecting ourselves from this pain. So when I become aware of what's existing in truth, I allow myself to almost attend the memory and reconcile the situation in real time. Because time to me is existing all in one moment, which means we have the ability to go back and heal the past. And when I say heal the past, it may or may not heal that for him. I believe there will be eventually repercussions of the actions of us being not present. However, I'm also going to have to face that reality when it arises. And all I can do for now is cradle that boy that I wasn't there for. And what's often happened is when I am cradling that boy, he then turns into me and he presents as my inner child, as my younger self. And after I had apologized a lot and embraced him, it did turn into me. And this part of me was so alone. And I just had to hold her there and apologize for not being there for her. Because our actions as adults are often representing what's going on within us. And when it comes to children, they are often our reflection, and the actions that we take towards them are the actions that are existing within us, what we are actually doing to ourselves. So within this process, when I was embracing her, the intensity of the emotion and the feeling that arose was overwhelming a lot, but I stayed in it. And all of a sudden, I really felt just like smashing myself in the chest, like my heart. It was like this uncontrollable urge. And then I got visions of that younger self just hitting me in the chest. And even though it was me, it was actually her as well, because we're one. And as I cradled her through it, I then saw my 13-year-old self. And she was stabbing me in the heart. And the pain that I felt from her was this utter hatred for herself. That ever since that age, ever since those ages, this is what I had been doing to myself inside. And I consoled her and I hugged her and I loved her and I calmed her down. And then my 18-year-old self was there doing the same thing. 19, 24. So many more ages were there just continuing in this self-punishment and this self-hatred. And it was depicted to me through vision of actual stabbing in the chest, in that heart. And I saw it right up until 39, which is what I am now. And I saw my 39-year-old self doing the same thing. And all I could do in this process is be there and embrace them. And try to make a promise that I won't turn away from any of them anymore. That I understand how it's been, and it's been fucking hard. And that I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to punish myself like this. I don't want them to punish themselves. I don't want them to be hurting to the point where they think that they need to continuously torture themselves in this way. And this is still unfolding for me, but the biggest thing is that I can't change what's happened in this reality, in disregarding or making excuses for the past. You know, we can say everything happens for a reason, and I believe that, but we can't ignore the repercussions of our actions or the way that we truly feel inside from them. And I can go back and I can say that I felt lonely because I was not, people weren't present for me. But I can't pass the buck when it's me just constantly torturing myself like this. I can't do it anymore. And the only way I'm going to move forward is with acknowledgement and love and embracing myself every single time I want to turn and run. Every single time I want to punish myself for who I am or how I feel. So moving forward, the past will be there. And we need to love every single part of us, of who we've been. But first, we often need to face and feel who we have been, how we truly feel. And acknowledge those parts of us that are absolutely churning inside, that are in so much pain, that have been rejected and pushed into the darkness by us. And then remember who we truly are. Remember what we truly are. And know that we have the ability to change, to choose every single day, to choose better, to choose to be from a place of love, to choose to be present. And in a gentle, loving, kind way. Because often we've tortured ourselves our whole life. And holding that whip just isn't working. Holding that knife isn't helping. We've got to move forward with love and grace and embrace every single day, every single part of us, and just choose better.